ban change to get rid of Lucian, since they know Soaz isn't really one to pick Maokai readily.
Also, again, it's Fnatic focusing sort of on Spirit. You know, they ban the Kha'Zix and they first pick away Lee Sin, two of the strongest of those early game duelist junglers. We've seen Spirit on the Jarvan and on the Rengar. Not quite the same performances that he was on these other top two junglers.
Well, let's see what Samsung Blue go for here. Thresh and Timo being hovered over right now, but you know, Yellow Star did play Thresh in the last encounter between these two teams. Heart settling for Nami in the end after that, and they may look to take this Thresh away. Where is Spirit going to go? The hover between Jarvan and Elise coming in. I think Elise will fit in better.
You know what's really cute, actually? When Fnatic was on the red side in this exact same matchup, the first two picks by Fnatic were Thresh and Elise. So they're actually just kind of taking the things that were so successful against them the last time, specifically to pick champions. And when we mention how Blue has so much of their damage dealt from Deft and they put so much farm into him, it actually creates a bit of a vulnerability to single target focus and stuns, which is what Fnatic used last time to win. Blue is trying to control those champions this time.
Not gonna fall into the cyanide trap here, hovering between Victor and Volibear. Down on that side, down by the V's in Champions League. Not going to go for that one just yet. So Fnatic, of course, have that Lee Sin, and completely agree with the fact that when we saw yesterday Lee Sin locked in, we were like, I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. He's not had a good season with Lee Sin. However, yesterday, he came up big, had 19 assists and 11 KDA overall in that match against LMQ. Looks like it will be the bottom lane locked in here for Fnatic, then Janna and Tristana for Reckless.
And talking about, you know, focusing on those AD carries for late game team fights, looks like Fnatic are sort of switching shoes here with Blue and going with that Tristana. They will have that mid-game dip. They'll have to get him past. Pairing Tristana with Janna does definitely bring about a pretty strong duo lane though. So we'll see how they fare, because Deft, he's been switching between not Corki and Jinx, but Corki and Kog'Maw.
Yeah, I really wonder which one he's going to go for, too. I feel like with things that he's had success on, Corki would be the logical choice, since Fnatic's already going a little bit more to the late game with Trist, and because after Deft lost the last game to Fnatic, he destroyed on Corki, something like 14-1. It would make sense that they try and just destroy the mid game the instant they see the Trist pick.
Well, it looks like it hovering over Rumble would not hurt that mid game either. Several teams have used that strategy so far, but the last minute switch to Maokai, a little bit later, but still very strong for team fights.
And being a good pick for them as well, 5-0-9 in the one game. And you mentioned Deft there on Corki, 16-1-6 in that kind of beat down after they lost to Fnatic in their next encounter. We'll see if it could continue that trend here. And you've got to be fearful of a play like Deft when he's already shown that kind of performance on that champion.
Well, again, it's shaping up here for Blue to be a two-threat team. It's going to be about Deft and Dade dealing the damage in that late game. A lot of weight on Deft's shoulders. As you said, he has a really, really big portion of the team's damage dealt. The average is 31% for AD carries.
Yeah.
But you mentioned he's over half.
Yeah, and at least Blue has a ton of area of effect damage here, just with Corki Maokai, almost irregardless of their mid lane pick. Fnatic's going to have to come up with a strategy in these last two picks. If they pick Zed, it's going to be very split push focused, actually, and they're going to need to completely focus on disengage. That's what they do.
It's interesting because Rumble and Zed want to do fairly different things, but Zed is strong as well once he gets his first item. Whoa!
One thing I will say is that Rumble is pretty good when the enemy team tries to dive on you, at least at trying to punish them for it. I just don't know if Fnatic has enough auxiliary damage outside of him with Janna, Lee Sin, and a mid-game power dip and Trist. They're going to be in a very dangerous position the instant they try and start split pushing with Zed, especially if Dade picks Talon for an even more potent dive.
Could be interesting, this one as well. And building a similar composition to that win against LMQ that we were talking about before, where Def went 16-1-6. They had the Thresh support, Maokai top lane in that one as well. They had Yasuo in the mid lane, which of course is banned away this time by Fnatic. And the question is, where will Dade land? Talon seems to be the choice.
And this Fnatic team, okay, so it is going to be Talon to go into that Zed. We've had a lot of discussion about the Zed and Talon matchup. It hasn't shown to be quite as one-sided as we've heard. There are several things here. Talon, we've seen a lot of the successful Talons that are going against Zed use their ultimate very, very early in lane, shove it and get harassed on at the same time. But if you do that, then you leave yourself vulnerable to Zed. But as far as the whole team here from Fnatic, the Rumble seems a bit out of place. They have a lot of knockbacks and protective spells they can use, but nothing really to hold anyone down on that Rumble ultimate. So it's going to be up to Soaz to fit that in a very small corridor or somehow use these knockbacks and kicks to kick people onto it, because that's going to be very difficult.
I would have to just say it might just be because Soaz hasn't found success on his other champions. He's not going to pick Lulu again, and Rumble has found success against Maokai, so it's kind of just a pick for the matchup here, and they're hoping it works out in the overall context of the game. And
I think there's no doubt that Soaz is a huge part of this team as well. When he's playing well, Fnatic are generally doing well, but I have to say I've seen Soaz hanging around this morning, and he looks very, very nervous. Of course, Fnatic have to win this game, and even then, it's not even in their own hands.
And what a situation to be in, where in order to even have a chance of making it out of the group, they have to beat Samsung Blue twice in a row. It's a ridiculous situation they put themselves in.
Yeah, I mean, everybody here at Worlds has been through just a roller coaster of emotions, but especially this Fnatic team.
Well, as both teams prepare to face off, we want to know who you guys think will come out ahead in this one. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag FNC win or SSB win, and we'll see who you think is the stronger team as we get into game. It's a big one, ladies and gentlemen. Fnatic versus Samsung Blue. All on the line here for Fnatic. Can they pull it off? We're going to find out.
I was actually a little giddy last night thinking about the games that we were going to get to see. This matchup, could Fnatic upset Samsung Blue again? The next matchup between Cloud9 and Najin White Shield, I wasn't even considering the fact that Kaboom would win a game today. Everything has delivered thus far. I want to see if these games do as well.
Yeah, group stages at this World have been so exciting. We thought we had seen the big upset in the last couple groups.
They just keep
when
happening.
AHQ took down the #1 seed from China, Edward Gaming. But then Kaboom one-ups them. Let's see if Fnatic can actually repeat their upset against Blue.
And obviously, it's going to be very heavily about the AD carries. Both of these guys have bounced back after some pretty devastating losses. Yellowstar's caught way out of position. Hart with a beautiful flank.
He's miles away from everything. There is a flay coming in, but they're going to try and close him off before he gets to the tower. Exhaust used. He's going down. It's going to be Talon to get first blood. Meanwhile, Fnatic trying here on the top side to get into Acorn, but what a disastrous start, and it might not be over. Well, it will. Hart's all on his own there. He's not going to be able to take down Peke, but what a crazy start.
How in the world did Hart get into position there? I'm going to have to go back and check and give you guys an up, because it was a remarkable flank there. Yellowstar had no idea.
They did not cover every entrance here into their side of the jungle with the defensive warding. And Fnatic do give up that first blood. That is really going to swing
Watching it again,
Talon Zed matchup.
Watching it again, Hart walked right in through the front door where everyone normally invades, and then just walked around the red buff in order to get the kill. There just wasn't that one defensive river ward you normally see from a team, and it ends up costing Fnatic.
Yeah, first one there. Early Bird does get the worm. Yellowstar now under attack again. Looks like it will be the lane swap call here from Blue.
Could be so dangerous. They're going to fight over that Blue. A big damage coming in there from Def
shut
with
the door.
Phosphorus bomb. Cyanide actually going very deep from this one. Acorn in there. Cyanide having to flash away. Def has gone low. There's another Phosphorus bomb coming in. Hart will get the summoner heal there from his AD carry, but he's going to go down, and it's Soaz that takes the kill. 2.5 minutes in, we're tied on kills at 1-1. Might not be over just yet. Def trying to recall there, but they're going to try and hold him down. Soaz, nice flash from Def, gets him away from the harpoon slow.
An inch away from being able to close that one in. And in a sense, Fnatic equalizes that early first blood by getting one back, but it really depends about the buff control and how they manage their experience at this point.
Yeah, you can see it was a very quick call for Fnatic to go invade this red buff, because they knew that their bottom side was open to Blue, and Spirit would rush in to grab that red buff. Now he's coming around for the level 3 gank.
The biggest thing that I actually see in all this is, for once, Def wasn't farming his lane at level 1. He is at 0 CS, 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the game, and considering Blue completely relies upon him, the fact that Reckless was in the lane shoving, and Deft was in the jungle invading, will put Reckless in a potential edge.
Yeah, remember, this is a two-threat team here for Blue. It's going to be a lot more on Dade's shoulders, and he got that first blood. So it's going to be a lot about how can Dade snowball Talon. This is a very snowbally assassin. Starting out with first blood and the extra flask for his laning phase should do wonders for him. Also, you mentioned the area of effect already when they only had Maokai and Corki on this team. Talon, not only is he good at roaming and assassinating people, but even in the team fights, for an assassin, he does much more area of effect damage than you usually get from an assassin.
Just about to say that hard pressure in there. You do see Deft onto the Fnatic tower. Will actually get a key deep ward in there, which will spot Cyanide coming earlier on. We are also seeing Spirit moving down to that bottom lane, and they're gonna go here. Soaz with a flash cocoon doesn't land. It's Spirit that's tanking on the turret. They'll juggle that one off, but Spirit going crucially low from that one. Soaz just walking rings around them.
Soaz quite clever there, skilling up his shield second despite not having a point in Flame Splitter because he knew he might get dove there. The fact that he was also able to avoid the flash cocoon, which to be fair, Spirit should have landed, saves his skin.
Yeah, that was definitely a fumble there by Spirit. And again, back to the picks and bans where they ban Kha'Zix once again and they take away Lee Sin, forcing Spirit onto something else.
I'm back to the video where Spirit said, "Follow me, Deft, and we'll not have those problems
not into the turret
ever again."
Well,
didn't quite work out as intended there.
Don't make promises that you can't keep.
Well, but
he didn't die yet. He's not crying yet. Okay, we're getting a little ahead of here.
Let's have a look now while we're on the topic of definitely AD carries. 29, 30 CS to 15. There's Yellow Star yet.
Patient Heart.
Get some wards down. Actually, we'll throw the Howling Gale. Heart just going to go through that. There is the hook coming down, but there's no one really there to give Heart the back over. There's the Lantern. They're going to try to pull in one man, but that won't be enough. Cyanide and Pekka had already reacted to that one and tried to come around as well.
Please, nobody there to back up Heart on his solo play. All right, let's check in on those side lanes. So because Soaz didn't go down, he's been able to keep up an experience. But again, Corki doing a pretty good job trying to keep him off the minion wave. Up top as well, we mentioned Reckless did get to start in that lane, so he got those early minions and then came down for part of that kill. He's doing very well right now. He has the experience lead over Acorn.
Yeah, and he's also saving his skill points, actually. He's got 1 point in Q and 1 point in W, and 3 unspent points because he doesn't want to unnecessarily shove the wave. He was trying to freeze it for quite some time. When he decides to go aggressive, he'll have that huge jump in power.
They're playing this very defensively, too, because they don't have an extra ward, and Yellow Star still feeling fairly vulnerable because he's been roaming so much, sitting at that level 2. It always helps when you do have a ranged support as well to go along with a melee top laner. They can CS much more effectively.
Yeah, you can see he just jumped all 3 points into explosive shot there since he was trying to get into the turret. This map is still really wide open. I think experience-wise, Fnatic will have a bit of an edge, but experience-wise, Fnatic has an edge, CS-wise, Blue has an edge.
I mean, I think the biggest point is that this Tristana is having a very good start here for Fnatic. Meanwhile, once again, for Blue, it's going to be Dade. Can he start roaming around with his talent and making some plays because of that first blood? So far, it didn't really swing the CS in the mid lane towards Dade's favor. So far, so good for Fnatic's point of view. Deft down bottom, though, level 6 Corki, that's really hard to lane against. Whoever goes down there. Soaz gonna head back and have a hard time.
Yeah, only 13 CS up until now. Going to that Haunting Guys first of all, but you see that Deft brought that CS back to just a 10 difference and will continue to do well there as Reckless throwing everything at Acorn, will knock him away from the tower. Fnatic might want to look to get a bit of damage on that.
On Dragon.
We can see, yeah, Dragon going. They've seen the recalls on that top side. There is a ward in Dragon. Seems to be enough to stop Blue from doing it.
Look at Heart still up top, though. Since he's babysitting Acorn, Blue don't actually have the numbers advantage, even though they've got the top laner with teleport. The duo lane up here for Blue, support and top laner, they cannot force that Dragon. Soaz almost to that level 6 point too. That will be a huge, huge amount of control for Fnatic on the bottom side.
Yeah, the top lane having the teleport, though, versus Fnatic just having Reckless up there, definitely opens up a big Dragon vulnerability. But now it's completely gone, actually. Blue really just not using Dragon as a priority right now. It looks like they're content here with the laning game.
Reckless has to be careful here. Now, we haven't seen as much roaming from Heart as I would have expected. Staying up there for a very long time. And, you know, now that they have used that teleports, it's 2 people committed up to that top side. See what Fnatic can do with this. Maybe at least regain control of vision coverage on the bottom side of the map. Now Heart recalls.
Now going to see a bit of a swap around in lanes as well. Look at Reckless and Yellowstar. They're headed to the mid lane, and Peke's gone up to the top lane. So just switching things around there a little bit.
I think they may have juked Fnatic here. Peke up top showing. Acorn actually goes back to defend. He doesn't have any armor yet, still with the fairly squishy Catalyst. Peke going to try and make use of that Zed split push really early on. This isn't even that first item we are talking about. This is just the first half of an item here. Cutlass completed. Maybe
Fnatic is thinking of a 1-3-1 split push as well if they want to try and get Trist going a little bit as well. However, they just don't seem to have the main team damage if that happens. I'm thinking they're kind of pushing Blue into a little bit of an uncomfortable situation here, specifically since Acorn was so under-farmed in a sense on a top laner. This game, it's more farmed than usual because he's at 50 CS, but with just the Catalyst, he can't do much.
Yeah, and because of the level discrepancy, you know, a level 8 Zed versus a 6 Maokai, that kill pressure is really, really threatening. 3 people committed up top, though. Blue decide to take that trade. They'll go for this Dragon. See how much Fnatic are going to get on that top side. Duo farming it now, and they don't shove it too quickly into the turret. Turret's pretty low, though. They should be able to answer.
Probably going to be a trade.
Yeah.
It depends, though, how quickly Blue decides to shove their own bottom lane and how much pressure they can put on Soaz. Otherwise, it will basically be a turret trade plus the Dragon for Samsung Blue. They do seem to have the superior amount of pressure because for some reason, Yellowstar is aiding Reckless when he doesn't really need to be.
And you said that Heart almost surprised you in the way that
oh!
So I'm gonna find Spirit here. Gets that kill as well. And that was strange. Samsung
That
Blue,
was a lot of damage.
Yeah, I thought they got Soaz away from that area of the map just with Heart's presence. Cyanide was hanging around as well, and just in the 1 versus 1, is Daddy gonna take the jump in? Going for Cyanide! That is a brilliant move from Blue.
Just striking directly back. 2-0 now for Dade. He had a pretty good game earlier on in the day on Cast, and it seems like he may be out of his group stage funk.
Now, they did catch Spirit in that red side jungle, but they still had vision, and so Dade makes the move, uses his ultimate, though. As we said, Talon without ultimate, very vulnerable to Zed.
Not a problem when Zed isn't around. Catching out Cyanide there in that jungle area. Peke got the edge here over Dade because of that free time he had in the top lane. Sat at 90 to 83 experience. Meanwhile, Deft will be able to finish off the first tower of the game here for Samsung Blue, just making sure that those minions go down and the wave goes through. I believe he did group them, actually. Pulled them off and went into the brush, so see if that holds at that midway point. A Spirit here going to get knocked up. Cyanide actually hop into the ward, but the Q misses. Peke is going to be coming around the side, though. Well, look at the closing. Samsung Blue want to go at this. There is the death mark coming onto Spirit. Peke using that pretty much defensively, but gets knocked back. Howling Gale comes in. Dade will dive in. He will actually end up going down for the hook onto Yellowstar.
So I love to be coming up.
Can they actually pull this one off? Spirit going to try and
there it is.
There's the equalizer, and that will stop the chase.
Woo, that Rumble ulti just came off cooldown. Here comes Reckless and Deft joining at the same time, so nobody else should fight.
Yeah, you can definitely see Fnatic running away a little bit on that one. A pretty great escape attempt by Peke, and a nice kill going to Acorn as well. Him being tanky will be incredibly potent if Blue needs to turret dive later in the game.
Can they hold this tower, though? Problem with Deft in there, who's already Phage and Sheen. Gonna be taking chunks out of Fnatic with those ultimate rockets. In the end, though, Fnatic do send Reckless back, and they're able to clear out those waves. But if you look at the overall story in this one, 1,000 gold is what separates the two teams. Tied up there in kills, tied up in turrets as well. Just the Dragon separating them.
All right, so you mentioned Acorn starting to get fairly strong. He does have a completed Rod of Ages now and a lane pushed up all the way in his territory to farm up. Yeah. Meanwhile, they've also got Dade with a split pushing Hydra completed now on Talon, so he can annihilate waves very quickly. SOAS here takes Steph down to half, and they catch Heart.
Heart in all kinds of trouble. There are 3 men on top of him. Should be enough control, and it's Reckless that gets it. There's the reset to jump back to that mid lane, but Deft had already ran away. That's a catch for Fnatic.
These are the dangers of overextending when you have your top laner up on the top side by himself. We talked about that large wave for Acorn up there. Blue, the 4-man team, makes an aggressive move on the other side of the map where they're outnumbered. Heart gets picked inside the Fnatic jungle.
And I think another thing we have to talk about is just nerves. We saw in the blue game versus LMQ, there were a few uncharacteristic mistakes by both sides. Ackerman had that weird rumble ult. Blue was making some strange decisions, and I think we're seeing that here as well. Heart trying to overward where he really didn't have the backup ward coverage or the backup as far as his teammates are concerned, and it opens a vulnerability in Blue's shell.
Fnatic here as well with the Zed Janna combo. Those shields add a lot to his burst potential. And it's very easy for him to dive very, very deep and come out back to Janna for protection. You can see that the ward coverage that they've set up as well, Fnatic do not want to give up the second dragon. They're trying to fight back here, get a preliminary ring of wards around that dragon pit to see where Blue's next layer are placed.
Well, they've done well on their side of that dragon pit. Managed to clear things out. Obviously, they'd seen that Heart was headed over there before. Wanted to make sure that they have full control.
Failed shadow doesn't matter.
Yeah. and moving down surely now onto the outside. In fact, Cyanide may just prove it if they go towards the equalizer was a misclick. Surely that was a misclick.
What is it about equalizers against this Samsung Blue team? Another big whiff. I think he was expecting the ultimate to knock him back in a different direction or something, but it was still a big miss there by SOAS.
Okay, so to be fair, Rumble Ultimate is one of the hardest skills to aim in the game, but really these are professional players who have played Rumble many, many times, and we have seen uncharacteristic Rumble Ultimates today. Talk about those nerves. Those cannot be overstated. The nerves up on the last day of group stages, all of these teams feeling tremendous pressure.
None more so than Fnatic. I mean, they have to win here against what everyone had pitted as the team from Group C. Fnatic already beat them though, so, you know, I'm sure that gave them that extra little boost of confidence that they needed coming into today's much-win match, but currently they are behind by 1,200, 300 gold.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams so emotionally invested in this. We've seen both of these teams have players tears up there on the stage.
And then come back huge in the next game as well. I mean, this dragon fight is going to be absolutely insane. They know that SOAS's equalizer is down for a short time, so if they rush it now, they can force Fnatic, I feel like, completely away.
Yeah, he has a teleport, but you don't want to use that unnecessarily. Right now, he's heading up top. Fnatic might just give this one away. SOAS has only 15 seconds left on this ulti,
can make it pretty quick, but Samsung Blue does count ultimate cooldowns very well as a team. They're just going now, even without Heart there, since they know Heart backed on a pink ward, the threat of all of them being there is real. Plus, they can now counter the potential evade a little bit with some vision.
What's the move from Fnatic? They are pushing that top wave out. They've got Reckless and Cyanide on that top side of the map, but the flash into the hook onto Cyanide. There is a twisted advance. The box is down, and Cyanide picked up by a rocket there from Deft as he comes up to join the party. And now Samsung Blue with a man advantage might look to push this mid wave down. There's a TP actually coming into bottom to save it.
The overall map play by Samsung Blue right there was just extraordinary, using the pink ward to fake the recall of Heart, having Heart go to the collapse point, and then still having Acorn's teleport to guard the bottom lane split push. They did everything right there.
They not only got the dragon and saved the huge wave bottom, but they also picked Cyanide for the red steal there. What a play from Samsung Blue. They controlled literally the whole map at the same time.
Bringing Dade there back behind the tower with the lantern will allow them to clear things out before Fnatic could actually get on top of it and do the damage. Just want to touch on the top laners at this point and where they're at, because 124 to just 67 CS in favor of Acorn. Those 3 kills though helping out SOAS, no doubt about that.
Even with the 3 kills though, Joe, he's still down about 1,000 gold to Acorn. And we can use this to talk about what's gone right for Samsung Blue and what's gone right for Fnatic. at the moment, Acorn is way more farmed, way more leveled than he's pretty much been this entire group stage, and that's great in the sense that they need a strong tank to be able to dive when they have those pressure points. For Fnatic, though, Reckless is actually bypassing that mid-game power point relatively well. It's just the farm is not necessarily on the right people for Fnatic. They would rather have Zed be 3-0 because he's the guy who's going to have to split push. A farmed Rumble generally wants to team fight, which, as we said, Rumble not really fitting with Fnatic's team composition. Team fighting's not what they want to do against a fed Maokai.
Plus, if Peke does go and split push, the mobility boots have been completed on Talon, so if Zed is split pushing against one person already, if that's Acorn, Acorn can set up that gank really easily. One Twisted Advance and a Moby boots Talon coming in, that would be a dead split pusher. So he's got to be very, very careful with this. Fnatic have to ward extensively if they want to pull that off.
Well, they're going to try and do that, certainly with double Spirit Stones down. The same on the other side. Sight Stone, sorry. And Deft. Ooh. You coming out from Cyanide as they're just fighting over that vision control in the side brush on River. Deft using a quick Valkyrie just to get over the top of the wall, make sure that it doesn't take too much damage from it. And I have to say, so far, Heart being a real highlight for me in this Samsung Blue team. Always there, seemingly, to either bring people into fights or take them out.
And this would be the point in the game where Heart needs to bring people into fights. Deft just finishes Trinity Force. Dade's got his
Shadow used.
Brutalizer. It's all about finding fights.
Deathmark going down, but is it going to be enough? Dade is going to be... Whoa! Peke! Oh, the Ignite! Not enough to finish off either. The burst just enough to get Peke the kill and survive.
What a pure outplay from Peke. We have to see that one again in slow-mo. He already had used his shadow, and Talon got the silence off on him, yet he still won the fight. Amazing.
Just because he was able to flash away at the last second and avoid Dade's auto attack. Still doesn't tick out, but let's see how Fnatic can hold off this dive if Acorn
does have teleports, so if they dove under the turret, he could join the team, but they're spread out very thin here.
Peke going to be taking that bottom turret after that 1 versus 1 victory over Dade. And just showing that Peke, you know, despite being around for so long, still has the moves when it really comes down to it. Samsung Blue, though, yeah, looking to come in from behind.
They're flanking pretty well. Cyanide's in trouble once again. Should be enough.
Moby boots Talon.
There we go, Dade. Where's he going to go to? Cyanide actually will queue over onto the red buff, and that gets him out of range of danger. Soaz has come down as well. There's the knockup, but Acorn's not really the target that they're going to be able to take down quick enough, but they will be trying to steal this red buff away. That goes to Deft.
In the jungle, Soaz could actually get a good equalizer here too. Talked about how hard it's going to be for him to land those good equalizers against this team. In those small jungle corridors would be the best opportunity for him. But Blue are able to steal that red and get out. Man, was Cyanide lucky Blue was up. Or red was up.
Yeah, we'll get to see this 1v1 again. So the shadow goes down, immediately Dade sees him.
I think he canceled his auto attack there too.
Using
great ulti from Peke.
While Dade was in his own ultimate to avoid the second part of the damage. And then this flash, plus he landed his spell right as his Deathmark procced. Could not have timed it any differently and still survived.
Amazing 1 versus 1 play there out of Peke.
Dead now though.
But he is dead now.
Yeah. In the context of the replay.
He survived. Oh, there's Acorn, but where's your damage? Lee Sin and Janet going to take down this Maokai with the Glacial Shroud with the Rod of Ages. And look at the move from Deft here. He's coming in towards that top side. Reckless is actually there as well. So the 3-on-2, I think Fnatic will back away from.
That Janet move speed doing wonders for them to retreat here. But Blue are not giving up on this siege. They're keeping several members here, and they're looking to extend this vision coverage. They've got very deep coverage on Blue side.
You can just see with the mobility boots talent and the general ward coverage that Blue have acquired, their map control is just really great right now. Even when Fnatic tries to collapse on Acorn, they were still not able to. And Rumble ult's being burnt just to try and save turrets. That opens up a free dragon for Blue.
Yeah, it just spawned now. There's no way that Fnatic can actually fight that. So they have to think now, we're giving up this dragon, we gotta trade something for it. They send 2 members top for a little bit of extra pressure, but Acorn is so tanky now. You can't dive him, and he does have a lot of AoE. He can clear at the tower. So another uncontested dragon for Blue that will really be unanswered by Fnatic, and they have to worry about the repercussions of 2 people top showing.
It's just
Heart
more
again.
Uh-oh. Oh, Reckless. Oh, will knock him actually against the wall and not away as he would have liked. Twister Advance comes in. Phosphorus Bomb comes down. He was focusing hard, but not enough damage there from Reckless. And you can see on his camera, bottom left, not happy about being caught that far up the lane.
I mean, it was also just a spectacular flash by Hart. The only thing that saved Reckless there is if he's able to ult him away. But Hart saw the play coming, was able to bring in the backup, and it puts Deft in a pretty strong place of mid-game power. Reckless was just trying to farm just that little bit so he can get his Infinity Edge, but it ends up costing him his life.
And again, even though Blue commit 3 people top, there's no pressure from Fnatic. They can't get anything back off of this. Peke split push is stunted right here. Dade comes over in time, cleans it up. Another pretty big lead here for Blue.
It's the map control, just controlling each and every lane. Right now is the moment Fnatic can't safely farm their lanes, which is why the gold lead is ballooning so much for Blue.
Look at the wards as well on the top side of Blue's map. Have complete vision control there. Bottom side's a little bit of a different story. That's mostly because Yellow Star is down there right now getting that vision in place.
And think about it, they already took Dragon, so Blue don't really have to waste time and money warding on that side of the map anymore. They've got so much control on the top side. Really, they're going to get the last mid turret here is the point of contest.
I feel like I've seen this before. Rumble using his equalizer again to try and save that mid turn.
Whoa.
That's just making it so much that Fnatic can never even think about counter team fighting if they're using that Rumble ultimate to clear waves, but they're just trying to get that Tristana to turn on, and it's just taking forever.
And in that time, Def just going from tower to tower, picking up those objectives, getting this red buff now as well. It's a 5,000 gold lead for Samsung Blue. Still fairly close here in the kills, and if you look, Soaz, of course, the one that picked up most of those for Fnatic, got his Leandris now in there, got himself a needlessly large rod as well, so will be doing decent amounts of damage. The question from that is, what can Fnatic use that for? When the fact is, they probably don't want to go head-to-head with Samsung Blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's fairly easy for Dade to juke it. It's fairly easy for Def to juke the ultimate, and Acorn's going to be alive this entire team fight. So it looks very, very dire here for Fnatic.
And you can see Blue is just kind of turning it on. They only have lost that one game to Fnatic this entire group stage. They had a slightly shaky early game against LMQ, and they're just trying to bring it together. You know, they were not wanting to lose a single game in the group stage here, but this game, their map control, their itemization builds have been really on point, and they're definitely executing on this strong roaming mid game that they're going to have. Blade of the Ruin King now finished on 2, Deft, Acorn with the Frozen Heart. The pressure's not going to relent from Samsung Blue.
Megatron Cloak as well for Acorn, so going with a bit of magic resist, which means Soaz going to be a lot more, or a lot less effective. Okay, also added the pickaxe now on top of that Ghost Blade and the Blade of the Ruin King, but honestly, he's not been able to push too far up the map at any real time. Yeah, he managed to get that bottom outer turret after he won that 1 versus 1 against Dade, but it's behind at this point, and the pressure that Samsung Blue are putting on them means that Peke just can't get into a position to do anything on the split push.
Yeah, Blue are splitting here because the wave clear is still very limited for Fnatic. They've got Zed. Oh!
Going in towards that. Is he going to go down? Certainly looks that way. It will be the death mark from Peke to finish off. Took 2 of them. Will Samsung Blue try and push that pressure back in mid? Doesn't actually look like it.
I feel like that's how most of those split push battles are going to go between Dade and Peke. Only when someone brings backup are we going to see a real big fight, because they're too explosive for each other to really want to actually commit on. I think the person who commits can get counterplayed a little bit by the opponent, whether it's Dade going into stealth on the Deathmark or Peke using the Deathmark while Dade goes into stealth. They kind of need a friend to pull off the right 1v1. That was just a nice collapse by Fnatic.
Yeah, Prawley on desk was saying it's pretty much whoever of these two assassins uses their ult first is kind of going to be at a disadvantage in that. And we did see that in the first matchup between those two guys.
Yeah.
Dade used his ult first and ended up going down.
Battle of nerves almost,
yeah.
to say, okay, who can hold out the longest, take advantage of the opponent going a little bit too deep early on. Right now though, Peke has been joined by Reckless and Cyanide. Look at this, they're going for the inner tower, but Blue say, you take that, we're having a Baron.
And they'll be able to get back and defend this inhibitor.
So
oh no, they won't. It's going down
Fnatic has done this type of play before where they try and trade inhibitor turrets for the Baron. They did it in their game against OMG. Let's see how long Soaz can interrupt these recalls. He does have Equalizer, and he does not want to get caught.
Gotta worry about the hook, though. Fnatic pressing in.
Yeah, going on to Acorn here. That's not really going to do much damage soon, but it's all about the tower. They kill off Rumble. Can they get the in? If they do, Fnatic trade Baron for the inhibitor in that bottom lane.
Can they chase here, though? It looks like the three-man squad all need to heal up. So Fnatic do get away with the trade at the cost of Soaz's life. So that's really the best of a bad situation. There's no way they could have stopped that Baron, and it was a good exchange considering how far they were down.
And Fnatic can't teamfight Samsung Blue. They need Reckless to be ridiculously strong. If they can sneak this Dragon as well, the gold will be
worth
normal. And at this point, it's going to be all about what Samsung Blue can do while the Baron buff is on them. If it falls off without them taking a couple of turrets or a big-time one-team fight, Fnatic made a great trade there.
Now they need to get really far back inside the base, though. Everybody has to get back and heal and defend the second line of turrets. If they can defend that second line, then they'll be okay. All right, so Soaz, as he said, he's trying to delay these backs. He does get very close, and he does a decent amount of damage to delay them long enough for that inhibitor to go down. He got everybody so low. You can see the effect of Rumble.
If he had one other person with him, they could have got a triple kill at that point. But obviously, Fnatic had sights on the inhibitor.
And that's why everyone talks about the team fighting of Rumble. The only reason everybody did stand on it there, though, is because they knew nobody else was going to be there. So like, okay, whatever, he'll get us all low, but nobody's going down.
Once again looking for Peke, actually lands the hook straight through the wall. I'm not sure about following through, but Dade will join in, and Peke goes down the death mark. Not going to really dent Heart. And now they've got full pressure inside the red side of Fnatic's jungle with minion waves coming towards that inner bottom turret.
Heart is just a spectacular playmaker right here, and that's kind of exactly what Fnatic did not want to happen. Luckily, though, it happened in the lane where super minions were aiding Fnatic, so it will take probably the entire death timer of Peke to set up a proper push for Blue.
Definitely validating the first round pick here for Thresh. Once again, both teams really highly prioritizing that champion. And as we've heard so many times, all of these world level top support players have been changing games with this champion.
Yep. Especially in these last two groups. I mean,
look at that. It's even blind.
He saw him go around the corner. He's like, I guess he'll be there.
That's just great prediction.
With the lantern, too.
Yeah. And Peke uses Shadow still as the ride from the death sentence was in motion from Heart, so he got to go with him, traveling the distance of the Shadow Dash as well.
That was like beyond max range of both the death sentence follow and the lantern, but because the timing was just right, the chains of both of the spells hadn't broken.
And because Dade had that extra out-of-combat speed, he was able to get to the lantern just in time. That was ridiculous.
Went perfectly right for Blue for the one kill, except they weren't able to even get objectives after the fact.
No, and you know, I even said the minions are coming their way, the way that Dade was actually so far stood up the lane there. And then, of course, you realize that Fnatic have already taken down that bottom inhibitor, and that the super minions had pushed quite far back in that lane as they continue to do, once again, reaching that halfway point. And Fnatic, I think, have said, look, guys, we can't afford to lose control of our jungle. And to get that back, we're going to have to go as a full 5-man team, clear everything out there. And in the meantime, Samsung Blue are just getting the top side all to themselves.
Yeah, Blue kind of still have to split up a bit here. It's very hard for them to dive against a Janna, especially since after the Janna can reset the fight, then Soaz can lay down his ultimate if there's any sort of re-engage. So it's really dangerous here for Blue to try and crack in through these second line of turrets.
If somehow Blue can find that organized team fight, though, with Acorn in the front line zoning out Reckless. Even though Reckless has his last Whisper, there is 272 armor plus the auto attack damage reduction of the Ninja Tabi on Acorn's Maokai. He is an absolute brick right now, and it will take so long to take him down.
Samsung Blue now moving in towards the inner turret in the top lane thanks to Deft, who had gone back to push that wave up completely. Dade waiting off to the side. Soaz had also decided to come in from the jungle angle to defend that tower, but it's already down to half with that single wave going through.
There's a lot of pressure on Yellow Star's shoulders right now to pull off this defense. The entire team of Fnatic have to watch out constantly for the Thresh Hook and the Elise Cocoons. If somebody's out of position, there's a lot of burst damage from Blue.
So hard to defend.
Oh, there's two!
Give it up.
What coming on to Soaz? Cyanide will have to back off somewhat. Deft not scared here of tanking up the turret, getting those shields his way. And, well, in the end, I think without that Janna shield, would have probably just stuck around to get the tower.
Mid-game double buff Corki is such a beast here. That blue buff, he can continue to spam rockets during the siege. He opens up windows for both the Cocoon and the Death Sentence to get through. And then he gets Sheen. Or no, yeah, Trinity Force empowered auto attacks off on the turret.
Yeah,
there it goes.
Dade there drawing two men away. There's Equalizer coming down. Who are they going to go for? Cyanide was trying to get in. Acorn actually dived pretty deep. Soaz here caught all on his own on the backside. He will be the focus for now. Monsoon comes in. There will be the Zonyas, but Soaz will go down. That's a 2-for-1 for now.
And Peke fell on the other side trying to take down Dade. Reckless had no flash from the previous hook that he had to dodge. Big fight for Blue there. It was pretty organized for them. Acorn did not take much damage.
Yep, that's going to be this Nexus or inhibitor turret going down here. I think that Fnatic engaged that fight because they thought Peke was coming around for the flank, but Peke got cut off by Dade, forced into that 1-versus-1.
And that inhibitor is going to fall here. Nothing that they can do to stop that one happening. Samsung Blue bursting through the base. Now have a 7,000 gold lead, 10-7 up. Look at the Baron timer as well, less than a minute until that comes into play. And Samsung Blue have been on the offensive for quite a while here and should have a good amount of cash to go home and actually spend to come back just in time for the Baron.
Yeah, I really want to see that interception of Dade. So Peke actually turns back around, and Peke is the one that goes for it. He ults first.
Wow. So that's the thing about Dade's build right now. He has an Infinity Edge with the Ghost Blade, so if he turns to fight and he gets a crit on one of his abilities, it just devastates Peke in that 1v1.
Waiting for his dragon.
Now he's got a QSS, so I think he wins that duel from here on out.
QSS. Oh, Dade here is a dragon, or at least the start of a dragon. Art and the rest of Samsung Blue, though, I feel are a little too slow to react and will take too long to get there. That will go over to Fnatic.
And I really
still holding on with a couple of dragon pickups.
Yeah, I think that Peke switching his targets there and going for Dade instead of joining the team is going to come back to haunt Fnatic. As you said, now Quicksilver Sash picked up. That is a huge game changer for the split push matchup. Baron control for Vision right now is in Fnatic's control, but it's so easy for Blue to take that over. They're the ones with the team fight.
Last time, Fnatic was in position to trade an inhibitor. This time, they don't have the wave management, and Blue can take the Baron, honestly, quite quickly. So Fnatic is in a really difficult situation. If they get caught out here, it is basically the game.
Hit by the Q off Cyanide. They pushed that middle wave, or just pushing that middle wave on through. Fnatic trying to hold it as far up the lane as they possibly can. And these saplings keeping Peke at bay, and
Baron's going down so fast.
Samsung Blue, you know, they sent Acorn to the front to just be an annoyance, basically. Meanwhile, 3 of the other players just moving into the Baron pit will start it off. Scrying will use, but they're too far away. It's another Baron for Samsung Blue.
You know a team is pulled far ahead when they can just take Baron straight up without trading a single objective or even really much farm to the enemy team. If Fnatic loses this one as well, they are eliminated from the World Championship, so they have to win.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah.
Didn't quite end as they expected, though, did it? We are going to see Blue pushing in. Just noticed, by the way, that Acorn now has a Thorn Mail, so, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do against him? Not a lot.
Well, 337 armor to go with that Thornmail. And the interesting thing about Thornmail is it returns the pre-mitigation damage, so Reckless will be doing a whole bunch of damage in just trying to kill Acorn.
Trying and hitting a brick wall though, I think. Of course, Acorn then will be able to also go under these towers without any problems whatsoever, with that amount of armor. Let's see though how they crack these last two lanes. Dade already pushing up bottom, will actually be helped by his teammate who just zoned Fnatic completely away from that. Not I think that Fnatic would have come out of the base to try and defend that last inner turret, but now it's going to be Blue knocking on the door of Fnatic's base with that top lane pushing through his super minions.
Yep. Samsung Blue slowly closing the noose here. It's going to have to be Fnatic catching out Deft with some miraculous play here, bursting him down.
And this is what I liked so much about Blue's team comp, picking away Thresh and the Elise. Where are the spells to actually catch Deft? Cyanide would have to try and kick him backwards, but he could just get flashed in the process. No chance there. Fnatic, in fact, decide we just have to leave this one. Second inhibitor is going to go down for Samsung Blue. They can just go straight to the third one. As I mentioned before, Acorn can tank those turrets all day long. Actually, they're going to go to top because the inhibitor just respawning there, giving Fnatic a brief respite, but it looks like Samsung Blue could be picking up the victory, which would put Fnatic out of the World Championship.
What a roller coaster it has been for Fnatic. So many close games for them. Ups and downs. Being the first to upset Blue, the only team to take a game off of them.
And honestly, even though Blue, if they win this game, ends up 5-1 in the group, quite a journey for them as well. They had that really close game against LMQ. Fnatic dealt them a shocking defeat. They're going to be much stronger going into the bracket stage, having this group stage experience behind them.
Look at the damage coming through. Samsung Blue not scared whatsoever. Taking a couple of turret hits with that Baron buff still on them. There is Acorn, a big tree, tanking up the turret all day long. No problem whatsoever. It's basically Yellowstar that's keeping that turret alive for so long, getting those shields in. Reckless, let's be careful about stepping forward because I feel that Dade will jump him. But Acorn, well, he's not scared of anyone at this point.
Yep. Acorn able to tank turrets, the constant barrage of missiles with, again, Blue buff Corki here. One last inhibitor turret to go for Blue.
And if they just
there's the hook coming in. Cyanide gonna be an easy target. Surely, actually, he will go out trying to get the kickoff. And I tell you what, not doing bad there, but Dade will finish him off. Acorn at the back is tanking up 3 men. They kill him off, but also nearly dying all of them themselves. Couple of low men still here for Samsung Blue, but it's 4 versus 4.
Yeah, they have to take advantage of this window here. I mean, trading Cyanide for Acorn is a huge, good trade, but everybody got chunked in the process, and there are 2 lines of super minions into
Reckless needs to be in 3 places at once right now, but he is in the mid lane right now. He's going to have to peel back almost immediately.
Base are going down at this point. We can see that inhibitor turret is still alive, but what's it going to cost them? The base is just falling from Fnatic. They're still trying to hold on to it. Peke and Soaz both got hardly any health remaining finally. Soaz does go back there to dive in from Dade. Are they going to finish the Reckless? They do. He's definitely gets that one. He's not done just yet. He wants to kill Yellowstar. Get
the big one!
The big bomb comes through. That will kill Yellowstar. And Def still alive. They even turn around for another fight. Deathmark comes down, but he's dead. That will pop. Will he get the kill? No. And the hook afterwards from Hart. But Peke gets him. And they kill each other.
There's just Cyanide alive though for Fnatic and 2 members of Samsung Blue.
Acorn teleports in.
Acorn with the TP back in. They've got Spirit. They've got loads of super minions with them as well to help things off. And that's going to be the Nexus turrets going down. The Nexus itself will be focused here by Samsung Blue. They will be, of course, going through to the quarterfinals. But for Fnatic, the world's dream is over.
It's a tough loss for Fnatic, but also a redemption win for Samsung Blue. Dade, having not making it out of the group stage in the 2013 World Championship, goes 5-1 in the groups with his new team. Deft as well goes 6-1 in the victory, and they end Fnatic's World Championship hopes.
And a heartbreaking, and what a way to go out for Fnatic as well. Having to beat Samsung Blue was one thing, but being knocked out in the group stages after beating the top seed out of Korea in the group, the only team to have done it so far, is just a cruel way for Fnatic here.
And now we have this team right here, Samsung Blue, on a collision course with their sister team.
Yeah.
Poised to meet up.
With the way the brackets will fall in the quarterfinals, if blue and white both win their quarterfinal matchups, they would meet in the semifinals. But that's not quite the story here today. It's about all the opportunity here and the end of certain teams' journeys.
Not for Samsung Blue, though. They're going to be going through. Fnatic, Season 1 champions, still with 2 men from that original roster. Not going to have a chance to go that far this year. And as I said, Group of Death is always going to be hard. When we saw that group come out, everyone was like, wow, who's going to come out of this one? People looked at Samsung Blue and said they are the big favorites in it. Up until, I'd say yesterday, after Fnatic beat them, there was some question marks, and it's not been 100% smooth sailing for Samsung Blue in their other games either.
It hasn't been 100% smooth sailing for anybody except maybe Samsung White over in the other groups.
Yeah. Since we got to Singapore, it's been rough waters right here. Honestly, though, just this means that the Group of Death here will come down to the second seed being the winner of the OMG LMQ game, which we have at the end of the day. That's going to be pretty crazy. Blue, of course, moves on as the #1 seed.
Absolutely incredible stuff here. And, of course, the teams from those other groups that played last week in Taiwan will have been watching, albeit for a little bit later on in the tournament, since the A and B groups do cross over, and C and D will do exactly the same once we do get to Busan. But I think job done for Samsung Blue. They wanted to come in for, you know, and have a perfect record, but in the Group of Death, I think they can actually be fairly happy with the fact that they only lost the 1 game.
There were some really close games today as well. That LMQ game, I'm still wondering what would have happened if Ackerman's Rumble Ultimate was, you know, a screen off in the other direction.
Yeah, so many what ifs.
There's so many what ifs because Blue made a bunch of mistakes in that game as well. They've really just been trying to clean up and make their play much crisper because they need to make it crisper for their eventual goal of winning the World Championship.
Well, I mean, for Blue, they weren't even secure coming into today either. So, you know, they had 2 games against LMQ, against Fnatic. The LMQ game had its rough moments. They'd already lost to Fnatic. So I'm sure that from Blue's standpoint, they were not feeling 100% coming into today. We heard that they'd done a lot of training last night, though, to actually come through and have a good day today. Works out for them. They go 2-0. Fnatic, as we said, will be going home. We do, however, have Shocks for a post-game chat with one of the victors.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'm Joe.